Are you ready to break free from the doubts and limits holding you back? Welcome to Embrace Your Value, where therapy meets coaching to help you unlock your true worth and take control of your life.
Hi, I'm Kristen, a trauma therapist dedicated to helping you heal, break old patterns, and reclaim your power.
And I'm Jen, your support coach, here to show you how to set fierce boundaries, embrace self-compassion, and step boldly into the life you deserve.
So whether you're stuck in self-doubt or feeling lost, know this: your value isn't up for negotiation. It's time to own it.
Every week, we tackle real issues that challenge, inspire, and empower you to live with purpose and confidence.
So grab your favorite drink, take a deep breath, and let's get started.
Because you're not here to play small. It's time to embrace your value.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Embrace Your Value. Jen and I are here with a special guest today, and we're really excited to share her with you. And Jen's going to introduce her. Okay. So I have my dear friend, Becky Nieves, and Becky is the cycle breaker. She is a self-worth and boundaries coach, guiding women who've been silenced, shamed, or scapegoated to reclaim their power and peace. Through her signature method, the do-over path, she helps exhausted women unlearn toxic patterns, rebuild self-trust, and rewrite their story on their terms. With a background in corrections, mental health, and advocacy, plus decades of lived experience breaking free from generational trauma, Becky leads with grit, heart, and no BS compassion. I want to hear more about that no BS compassion part.
Yeah.
A married mom of 4, she knows what it means to choose healing every damn day. And she shows her clients how to do the same, whatever it takes. Welcome, Becky. We are so glad that you're here with us.
Thank you for such an amazing introduction. I was like, wait, is that me?
It is you.
Sounds
Absolutely.
Guys made me sound amazing. Thank you both for having me. I'm so happy to be here and, share my story, my light, and anything that I can offer your audience.
Absolutely. Well, we would just love to hear about you, what you have to offer, what you do, and really how you help your clients.
Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning and how I ended up here in all places. I was raised by a narcissist. My father was a narcissist. My mother was his enabler. And when I was 14, I got the bright idea. I said, I can fix this. I will get a degree in psychology. Fast forward 8 years, got the psychology degree, did not fix the family. Surprise, surprise. And we kind of went through cycles of I'm not talking to you or not talking, there's big family blow-ups, all the toxic drama, all the things. And I dealt with that for a very long time, with the psychology degree, even going through therapy myself. For me, the breaking point was when my second child was born. And she was actually born with a rare genetic disorder called Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. So it's a hardening and scarring of the lungs and some other things. She's only going blind, has a bleeding disorder. So it's a complex medical disorder. Now, my parents were smokers. And I put up a boundary. I said, I will no longer go to your house because you're smoking in your home. You can't come to my house and smoke. You can go outside, secondhand smoke, all the things. You can imagine my father didn't like that very much. It started into kind of a shouting match. And I told him to go and download it through the phone across the room. So my intent was not to go no contact, but for me, protecting, my child was the straw that broke the camel's back, literally. And I have been no contact with him for 7 years, and it was through all of that and continuing therapy that I embraced.
Yeah, what a great story. Thank you for sharing that. You're being very vulnerable, and we appreciate that. That's something that I think all of our listeners really need to know, that people can open up and be vulnerable and share their stories and empower each other. So thank you for sharing that.
No, absolutely. My thing has always been, yeah, and for many years I did because it was, kind of shameful. And you would hear those things when you don't have contact. And well, how could you? That's your parent, whoever it is. They don't see their grandchildren. And, it's about making a choice, a difficult choice, but an important choice nonetheless. And I think the more that we normalize that choice, the easier it'll be for other women.
I love that you say normalize it because it's true. We all have stuff. I was just telling a client that this morning, like we all have some sort of trauma, garbage, whatever you want to call it, from childhood, from our teenage years. Like nobody has had the perfect life. It's so true. And so I think that's just a really important piece that sometimes we miss. We feel like we're in this alone. We're in this by ourselves. And that is really never the case. So tell us a little bit about your signature program. I'd like to hear more about that.
So that one was born out of fire and trial by error for sure. I stumbled upon it purely by accident. I had never been to Disney World and I went the first time, totally upgrade. And I could not figure out why, as a full grown adult, I love Disney so much. And I'm like, we're spending all of our disposable income here, right? And after about 5 trips, I will say it hit me that, wait a minute, I get to be a child here, right? It's safe to put on a pair of ears, hug characters, get in line, get excited, do all the things. It's socially acceptable there. So that got my wheels kind of turning. I was like, wait, I'm getting my do-over here. So I'm now living the childhood that I did not live. And that's kind of where the pattern started to emerge. And then I realized what I had been doing for myself most of my adult life kind of followed this pattern where it's like, okay, moving in your why, redesigning kind of what your life should be, reconnecting with those people, creating your own, chosen family, and then building a new legacy, for your children and for yourself as well.
That's incredible. I love that.
Not saying that everybody needs to take a $10,000 Disney vacation. I'm just saying, but that's just birthday for me.
Well, yeah. And I just love the fact that you're telling and teaching your clients that they do get the chance to do it over again. We can't change the past, but we can definitely change what the future looks like. We can definitely change how we move forward and how things treat us and how we react to things. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. So I have found, pleasure in doing kid stuff again, whether I'm getting down coloring with my kids, running through the sprinklers, just having a good time. Because I think with parenting after you've had a traumatic childhood too, it's not only reparenting yourself, but it's also building those core memories for them too. Because when I first got into the whole parenting gig, I was like, well, I'll just do the opposite of what my parents did. That wasn't that good either, because then they turn out very spoiled and entitled. Still dealing with that with my 22-year-old. Parenting adults, that's a whole other podcast. But, and then as I've gotten a little better now with the parenting thing, it's like, yeah, just be natural and do what feels natural and what feels good to you, and everything else will follow.
I would definitely agree. I talk to clients a lot about parenting yourself through parenting your children, and especially with a traumatic childhood. You either go at it exactly the same or exactly the opposite, and neither one of those things works. And so you just have to find your way and figure out what's best for each kiddo. I only have one, but they all take something different.
100%. It's funny. It's a joke now that I have with my child. He lovingly refers to himself as the test baby. I kind of agree that he is. But I think what's most important about that is I apologize. And that's one thing I did not get from my parents was an apology. If I did something wrong or I misstep, admit to any of my children, hey, mom shouldn't have done that. It wasn't correct. And I think when you're willing to own up to that, that's what makes a difference in the whole world. So he's lovingly the test baby, but he's doing pretty good. I mean, I can't complain. And like I tell him, he's a Marine. He's going to college. He's engaged. So I did okay, I think.
Yeah. And I think repair is important in any relationship, right? And taking accountability for your actions. And I think that a lot of parents struggle with that because they don't want to be seen as like wrong or like they didn't know what they were doing or something like that. But like, I think it is important to
teach our children that we can recognize our faults or our mistakes and lovingly repair with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, I think, when you don't want to portray that you're, on a pedestal or whatever it is, that's just the ego talking. I will say the one lesson being raised by a narcissist that I did is I don't have much of an ego because I was so unwilling to take on any characteristic that looked like him. So it's like, yeah, no, I have no problem admitting when I was wrong. But then, of course, the opposite of that is apologizing and people pleasing too much. It was finding that in between balance. It took a little bit.
Really glad you found it, though. I think that's really important. And, I always like when I have clients that say that, I'm like, yeah, but you found it. You got there. We're not perfect. Yes, it still comes up once in a while. And I think that's important to acknowledge as well. But you found it. You got there. And I love that so much. That's what makes talking to you so real. Because whenever I see something that you've put out there or the conversations that you're having on any social media platform, you're always so real and authentic. And that is so important because so many people aren't. They're trying to make it perfect or they're trying to make it beautiful. And I'm not saying that your stuff isn't, because it is, but I just know it's real. And maybe that's part of it, is that I know that that's really who you are. And so I love that.
Yeah, it's just so exhausting to be perfect and curated all the time. Like I have 4 kids. I don't have the energy to make everything perfect and curated. I mean, what you see is definitely what you get. That's for sure.
You gave us a good glimpse into your history and your childhood. What would you tell your younger self about like worth or purpose or enoughness, if you could?
Oh my goodness. I think what I say to myself now is probably what I would have said to myself then. Give yourself some grace. Actually, that's still something, truthfully, that I struggle with. Type A perfectionist, recovering, but grace, and that everybody is worthy of love and attention and support. And if where you're at currently isn't giving it to you, then you have the right to find it elsewhere, whether that is in a relationship, family of origin, chosen family, the choice is yours. I would say my younger self did not believe that she was worthy of love enough.
What did it look like for you to really get to the point where you do feel worthy? That's something we talk a lot about. So what can you share with our listeners, like what that process looked like?
I will say for me, again, because I'm a recovering perfectionist, I kept having to achieve something, right? So it was like, okay, if I get straight A's here, if I marry the perfect guy, if I have the house, the thing, it was chasing titles. And I got to a point where I accomplished, incredible things, as I always say, in spite of my background. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was fine before that. And all of those things that I accumulated, titles, experiences, whatever, it didn't change who I was inside. I'm still the same person I was 10 years ago before I did all the things. And none of those things or people that I was around made any difference on how I felt on the inside. It's something that had to come from within. It's like people always say, if I lost 100 pounds or whatever, life would be grand. Not accurate. You might change the physical exterior, but if you haven't done the inner work, you're still dealing with the same mindset.
100%. Yes, I agree. I love that.
And I say that from experience. I struggled with weight my entire life. And I was like, if only I get to this number on the scale. And then I hit that number on the scale and I was like, but wait, I still feel like crap. So again, it was that work that needed to happen. So there's no magic formula. You have to make a conscious decision to feel better, do better, and grow.
Well, and I think that right there is the formula. You have to make the conscious decision. You have to be ready and willing and open-minded to make that decision and really want the change. It's easy to say we want the change and then not do anything. And that's the frustrating part and the hard part. But the true reality is you have to take action and you have to want that change. You have to, nobody else can do it for you. We can't want it for you more than you want it. It's kind of like helping an addict. You can't do it for them. You can't make them quit doing anything. You have to do it. So I think that right there is the formula, is knowing that you're ready and just taking the first small step. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and it's no different, I think, between therapy and coaching. I had been in and out of therapy for 20 years, trying different therapists. And finally, when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, I dedicated myself to a therapist. We worked together for 9 months, and I was like, oh, this is what happens when I trust the process. And then I hired a coach, and I was like, oh, this is even a step further than that. It was life-changing for me, for sure. But it wasn't until again, I always tell people, even with my degree, my life experience, all the things, until, like you said, I was ready to move into a different chapter.
I totally agree. And of course, as a therapist, I love it when people gone to therapy and when they really get dedicated and do their work. And obviously, those are the ideal clients. So if you had to go back, what belief did you have to let go of in order to fully embrace your worth and your value?
The number one thing would be that I had to achieve something. And again, it was so hard to let go that, like, if I got to this level, everything would be okay. Because again, I continually rose to those levels and nothing changed. And the other one, particularly in my case, was that blood is blood, right? That no matter what, we don't turn our back on blood. It's a thing. Because I know when I went no contact with my father, I mean, even still now, 7 years later, I will still get phone calls and messages from relatives. Oh, well, this is going on. Don't you want to make contact again? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I know it's not for everybody. And I know that there are people who are able to repair the relationship after the fact. And if that happens, I'd be open to it. I don't foresee it happening, but I never close the door on anything. But yeah, I think that letting go of that mindset and making your own family, making your own little protective bubble, that has been everything for me. Once I made that choice, my growth was like 10x.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you say making your own family and making that protective bubble, because I think that's one of the things that was taught to me at a really young age. It's one of the things my parents actually instilled in me was, adopting extra people into our lives and into our world and really giving them maybe the home that they didn't have and being that person for them. And so I've spent a lot of time in my life doing that over the years, just bringing people in and really holding them close when they need to be. And so I love that. I love that concept a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing when you open yourself to that level of community. Where I live now, my husband and I moved here and we didn't know anybody. We just happened to find a house that was where we wanted to be and in the budget that we wanted. And my town now feels so much more like home than my hometown ever did, because you open yourself to people who are willing to help, to be connectors, and you build a whole new life. And it's totally possible, even if you've been through a couple of chapters already like I did.
Is there anything else you want to talk about specifically before we kind of wrap things and finish up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing that I would want to leave listeners with is just that there's hope, no matter the age, the time, what has happened in the past. I've lived a couple of chapters and iterations, I think, in my lifetime, even though I'm not that old or I'm in denial. But either way, there's always potential, I think.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, Becky, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I try to keep it very easy. All of my handles are social media or Becky the Cycle Breaker. So that's TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. And my website is also Becky the Cycle Breaker.
So go look her out, Becky the Cycle Breaker. She is amazing. She will take really good care of you. She is worth the conversation to just have with her and see if there's something there that she can help you with, because that would be incredible. And if you guys have questions or want anything else, be sure that you are dropping us comments, leaving us emails, those kinds of things, because we are here to help in any way. So you can always drop that in. If you have a specific question for Becky and for some reason you can't find her, you can always leave it in the show notes and I'll make sure Becky gets that. Anything else, Kristen? Anything we're missing?
No. It was such a delight to meet you, Becky. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
No, thank you both. And to your listeners, therapists, coaches, they all have their place in the world. They can work very well together, as Kristen and Jennifer have shown so beautifully. And I think that they are both just necessary services. So again, potential, grace, and all the things.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you for everybody else, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you for being here with us today.
If today's episode hit home, don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Because everyone deserves to know their worth.
Next week, we're diving even deeper with more insights and tools to help you break free from limitations and live authentically.
Until then, keep raising your standards, owning your worth, and embracing your value.